Hey guys, my name is Hashim Mohammed and welcome to this hack project tutorial. In this video, we'll be building a digital hack school application without any programming using Glide apps. Now, if you haven't heard of Glide apps, essentially it's a mobile web app or even native app builder that works primarily on Google Sheets, which is just basically a spreadsheet application or Microsoft Excel's alternative on the web that is powered by Google, of course. All you need is a Google account in order to like work on this application. There's no coding knowledge required for this. And if you haven't heard of Glide apps before, I've made some tutorials on it before, like some basics. That I would highly recommend you go check out before you check out this video. But it's not like required, but I highly recommend it. Okay. So because I'm going to be moving a little fast when I'm going to implement some things, like yeah. And by the way, this is not a fully implemented version. Like I just did some stuff that is going to be repetitive, and kept stuff ready. Like these things, of course, I just tested it, but essentially not even complete. Not even the whole full template is complete, but yeah, basically, I just didn't want to waste some of the time creating a Google Sheet and all that stuff. So I just started off. Of course, I will probably dump this and show you guys how to start from scratch. But before we begin with the technicalities, you might be asking one question here: what the hell is a hack school? So, well, hack school by itself does not have a definition because, well, as you can see here, as you can say from the word hack. So, well, hack means using value out of a product or something to obtain whatever value you want for your own, other than what it is meant for. Okay, so what it is well, so it's of course of course it's an educational platform where you can learn to do anything and thrive in the society. But the way hack schools work is um, that they offer lessons or they offer courses or whatever it is that you can take in to apply for your own projects and purposes, situations, and problems. So it's a very personalized way of educating people. I don't know if there's any better way to put it. This might sound geeky, but I'll talk about how the application is going to work. Okay, so there are going to be like three main features, but of course, as I can, like this can be completely dependent on the kind of location that you're in and the kind of situation that you're in. Now, the reason I wanted to do this as an application is because, well, I mean, school systems are something that I'm not a big fan of, at least in my place in India. This education system kind of is not something I really like, and I actually made a video on it. But yeah, basically what I'm doing here is I believe that if you're gonna keep this on a digital, as a digital application, people can access this from anytime, anywhere. But yeah, of course, you guys can change this concept to fit whatever agenda or thing you want to. But I just wanted to get this concept out there, and probably people can replicate this and make their own stuff. And that's what Creator School is all about: is you making your own concept out of whatever bare bones concept that I share here. So this one is going to be pretty simple. There's going to be three core features. Again, the emphasis is more not on like delivering as many lessons as possible, but making those existing lessons really personalized and curated. And for that reason, I'm going to be using two other tools for this. And one is called videoask.it, and it's actually powered by a very popular company that I think a lot of people who have ever created surveys might recognize, and that is um, Typeform. So, Video Ask right now, again, the link will be in the description, is a tool that you can use to record a video and also ask people to, like, record video feedback or audio feedback or textual feedback. And that way, it's a lot more personalized as opposed to like writing comments. I'm going to be using this to ask my students or like let my mentors record a video and then like create a video ask widget on my application and submit, so that whenever students come in, they can, like, instead of typing in comments, which if they want they can still do, but if making maybe video ask is a lot more personalized. And I'm also going to be using something called Stonely, and I want to show you what Stonely looks like. It's basically an interactive step-by-step lesson builder. The way it works is like, for example, I have a dummy lesson here. So the way it's gonna work is, for example, if I want to like preview this. If you go to stonely.com, what this does is, instead of having a boring article, um, but we'll do this like later, okay? I just don't want to do it right now. So basically, the way it works is like, instead of having boring articles, it's gonna be divided into like sections of stories. Like if you click on the button, it will go to the next step. So it could be step by step. And the other thing is you can add media images, like stuff like that, like an Instagram story, except you can add interactive like buttons. So for example, if I click on this button, it will go to a different section of the lesson. So if I, for example, I'm gonna be teaching people like trigonometry, whatever, and then if the people know the values of sine 30 or cos 30, if they know the table, the values or whatever, I can just skip directly to the problems and show them how to solve specific problems, instead of loading them with the basics, in which they don't have to go through. So that way, it's a lot more interactive as opposed to thing. And both these other tools can actually be put directly onto our application using Glide, or we can simply hyperlink them. So both the possibilities are there. Like, the choice is up to you. Like, you can put your video, like this whole widget here. You can just put them right there. And actually, I want to show you what this looks like. So let me go ahead and like show you what a video ask really looks like. So here's a video here. And let's say I really like it. I want to respond to this. I can say, hey, I have a question, and you can also the users can also um, record a video instead. Now, that's also a possibility, or you can also record an audio. So this is some of the use cases here, but of course we're not using for almost any of these except for feedback, of course. um, but yeah, essentially what we're doing is we're making feedback, or the process of asking questions, a lot more personalized. So that's all the tools that will be developed, that we're doing. And then there's another section here which is events. And well, what events is that, now let's say, for example, there's classes going on and there's classes being delivered online, but well, there are certain things like skiing or physical sports that I cannot really teach in person. Like, for example, there's a public speaking lesson somewhere. So there's that for that kind of lesson would require probably a stage in the presence of people. So for those kinds of things, I probably would just hyperlink event, like an event page or whatever, and I tell it, well, this is how much it costs, and this is when the date is, and the event is, the time is. So go and check that event out. So probably my students can check those events out. You can also target people like niches. Also, that's also a possibility. um, so here's how you should begin, okay? Like, forget all of this. The first thing you want to do is you want to go to sheets.google.com, okay? As soon as you go there, you will find a place on the top that says blank. Click on the blank, and then um, you will find a bunch of empty cells here. So I just basically just made some formatting so that it looks a lot better. But this thing is not required, but it just looks a lot better on the eyes. So I added like one, two, three, four, five more sheets here inside the Google Sheet. So I renamed this to HackSchool so that I can find my sheet better on more easily on Glide apps. So yeah, so I added like five sheets, and then you can just basically just copy my values here. Like, don't really think a lot about this. So this one is going to be let me like try to explain what this is. So I'm adding the first. Basically, every column is a different field in the database or in the application. So the way it works is like, um, this is what the offer is. Now, of course, some people will prefer to keep the mentor's name as the main uh, like the title of the post, whatever. If you want to do that, you can do that. It's all up to you guys. What I prefer personally, like to say what is the thing that he intends to offer. Like for example, I add an example data here. Again, this is an example. Like, of course, you don't need this, but actually, the thing that's important is the very first row. You don't really have to copy the second row. The second thing is a mentor's name. That is, of course, useful for the students. Mentor's email is really important, and that's because, well, that's how I'm going to be identifying this mentor. Masterclasses is basically a list of all mentors, and I also have price per hour. So so that's going to be how much it costs per hour, but of course you can also charge in other bases if you have other ideas. Some long description of what this class is about, and of course the thumbnail or the person, the profile picture or the image, okay? And the feedback URL, which comes from video ask, so that the user can give a interactive feedback. Now, of course, you can have the old, good old comments there, and you can also have favorites, which we'll do later. Events is like very simple. Like we're gonna have title, description, thumbnail, link URL, and then price, and then date and time. You can probably copy this, but if you're doing anything more than that, you can of course add values. Okay. Well, lessons is different. Now, actually, lessons is referring to the tab here. Now, this, in my case, for some people, lessons can have just one chapter. Like if that's the case, then you don't need to do this. Now, what I did is that in my case, lessons will like each lesson will have multiple chapters. If you have something like that, what you need to do is you need to create a separate a sheet called chapter, and then what I'm doing is I'm creating a, well, the course name, like I'm sorry, the chapter name. So this will oh, okay, that was about course reference. So this is basically referring to which course this content is. So every entry or every single row is a chapter, and I will actually match them up on the content. So the, well, sorry, the course. So I will enter the course name. For example, if I'm going to be entering guitar lessons here, this is the name of the course. So the content can be anything coming from Stone Lee. I'm going to be using Stone Lee primarily, but you can also type in your entire lesson over here as well. You can also do that. But whatever is your content, like I need to type in guitar lessons. So every time I add guitar lessons, like all of this content is basically a chapter of lessons. And that's what I'm doing here is I'm saying, well, chapters is the name of the actual row, and this is basically equal to the thumbnail, okay? Chapters is basically the name of the row, but the value of that will come from the chapter sheet here under the course column. So that refers to this exactly. So that, and there can be multiple chapters in my case. And as I said before, in my case, there can be multiple chapters. So I say multiple chapters, like multiple. Okay. Make sure you copy the case sensitivity, because I mean, all of this is case sensitive, but you don't need to make this bold. Okay. So chapter again, if this makes sense for you, then you can do it. And booking, okay, well this is kind of important. Is that every master class, or like every master classes will have a set of bookings. Now, not all of these rows, or sorry, all of these columns or these fields are ready. Like I might add a few of them later down the tutorial, because I'm not really sure, because I've not implemented the whole thing yet. But it's pretty simple. But the bookings aspect is like the most challenging in this whole project. Okay, it's not really challenging, but taken into consideration just this project, it's the most challenging part of this project. Okay, so the first thing is the demand is the most important thing. Is what you want to achieve from this lesson. So that's the thing, and then the number of hours, like how many hours do you want to hire me, and which class are you hiring. So that is the reference back to the master class. So I'm saying which class, and that's going to come from the master classes sheet under the offer. So offer is the name of the title or the main thing that that the user, like the mentor, is offering. So I'm gonna be using offer as the unique ID here. So that is this thing will refer to which class he actually is booked for. Okay. The next thing I want to have is who is the student that is booking this, and who is the mentor. So I need to save all of this, and I also, oh well, I also want to save the date and time of this booking, right? So, and we also want to have approved, oh sorry, status, right? Status, okay. Okay, I'm gonna save that. Now, this is all I'd probably be needing for now. Let's go ahead and check this out on the Glide now. Okay, so from the Glide side of things, all you need to do is click on New App, and then click on your Google Sheets, and then start. Like this will, it will not probably look something like this. All I did is I go to navigation, and then I added icons here. Now this might not be the best icons or the most appropriate icons, but it's okay for whatever I'm doing. I guess it works. Okay, so basically I'm gonna have a bunch of screens. The only thing that I want to really have is Masterclasses. Now bookings. Actually, there are two kinds of bookings I want to display. One booking is for the students. Well, all the lessons that I mean, all the mentors that I've booked, and there is another part where you will be displaying all like the mentors will be able to view all the students who have booked for my class. So, for example, my name is Brian, and I teach violin. So anybody who's booked for a violin class, I should be able to see all list of all the students who have booked my class. So I need to see that, and that's going to be a different screen. So those are two different things. Now, what you can also do is you can like you don't really need to like display all of the you don't have to display like um, all of the listings here. Like what you can do is you can also have per user listing. So I don't know if you guys know, but the first thing you want to do is this is very important is that you want to say that sign in is public with email. And what this does is that the user will need to like log in to use this application. Now the application keeps track of who is the user that is logged in here. So this video is brought to you by Zero Code. So if you're looking to build a dynamic website for your business or for yourself, you can hire these wonderful guys at Zero Code who have a lot of experience with developing applications using Bubble, or you can buy one of their premium quality templates, and which will take a lot of time to actually develop. So if you are interested, go check out the link in the description. It also helps this channel. So yeah. So I'll just customize this and change the icon, and then I change the theme to like pure black. Dark will have a sense of like color if you want to. Like I like pure black because it's really minimalistic and really clean. So it's like distraction free. So I really like this. Anyway, so that's the theming here, but of course we'll be changing a lot of things here, like later on. Like for now, let's keep this as it is. So let's start with the events because that's the easiest one. So let's go ahead and start adding an event here. And by the way, you might be seeing everything as a text input here. So first thing you want to do is click on the plus, and then use image picker for thumbnail. Okay, because essentially thumbnail is a it's an image, so we want to have a thumbnail as an image picker, and the date and time is actually date and time is date picker. So as soon as you click on that, and then you want to say date and time, and that's good, that gets replaced by that. Okay, so always make sure you use that instead of what's happening here. uh, I want to delete that. I want to delete this. We have too many fields. Okay, so we want to add again the date and time. Date and time. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So now we have an event. So let's go ahead and add one event here, like just so. Um, there's gonna be something like I don't know, blind dating festival. And oh no. Let's do something like climate change festival. Um, we'll be discussing the effects of plastic pollution on seas in this great talk from Dr. whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna have some description, some basic, some date here. So I'm gonna add some random date. So it's going to be 8 of 10, like p.m. maybe, or you can have p.m. a.m. or whatever. Okay, so basically the reason I add this from the application itself instead of adding this directly from the Google Sheets is, well, especially for the thing of date and time and images, that gets added exactly in the way that this application intends to be done. So I don't know why it didn't add it yet. Like, oh yeah, there you go. So actually, um, we got a list. You can actually see it here. So we have the climate change festival, like tiles. So we have this over here. So as you can see, we have the image. I think are we showing all the information here? No, not yet. So this is all the thing we need, but we also need to have a date and time. So we don't have that yet. So let's go ahead and add a date and time. Where do I add that? Um, looks like I don't have it, right? I don't have it. So let's go ahead and add that over here. I can't believe this is not there. Okay, let's add a favorite icon, by the way. Favorite is kind of important. So we also need to add a basic text, which is date and time. So we want to add that over here. And want to display that, and instead of thumbnail showing up there, we want to show it up here, right? So it looks a lot better, right? So you can also have comments. This one is just event, so you might as well just have a thing there. If you can remember, there's one thing that we did not enter, and that's the link URL to that event. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a base, like a random event page, probably eventbrite.com in this case. So I'm gonna have a link here. So if I want to like let's reload the sheet here. I probably forgot to add that field here. There's no field to actually add links. So let's gonna add that. It's a standard text field. So that's going to be, well, we didn't even add a price field. That's also ironical. But okay. We also want to have uh, another text field for the not date and time uh, for thumbnail, for title, link. Yep. So we'll want to have the images thing, image picker. Yep. There you go. So now we made the changes, but let's go ahead and change this on the Google Sheets for now. So let's go ahead and add a random price like 1, 2, 3. That's a very expensive event, but yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this event out. Let's go ahead and add all the values I need. The button is to check out my link, so I can say learn more about this event. So probably learn more about this event. I can also like check out the price of this event, which is going to be basic price. So probably rearrange that to put this on the top. I'll also add a comments, so that looks a lot better. Um, so what's comments, comments, comments? There you go. So I can also have comments. Now my events feature is ready. So now let's go ahead and add lessons here. So basically I would not choose to like allow users to like maybe events is fine. But lessons and stuff, I would choose to not allow users to like add lessons from here. But as I said, the only reason I do this, like, is like for example, thumbnail. Instead of doing it that way, I would much rather choose an image picker. Okay, so that way it's a lot more like we're doing it for the image is formatted properly. So yeah, I'm gonna remove the other stuff here. Like okay, so I probably am missing one more field here, which is a course title. I'm gonna add that. Okay, so let's put this on the top most thing. So now that we have the courses thing done, Actually, I can create the course, but the problem is I can't add any lessons here. So I can just add like the course title, like for example, how to like build a web application without code. I'm just gonna call this like this. Using bubble.is maybe. So I'm just gonna click on add. That's one of the lessons, but I really don't have any lessons here, like chapters here, so I need to add the chapters. So ideally lessons, they should not have an add button because they don't really mean anything there. So let's go to the lessons part here. I added a empty thing there, which is like of no use. So let me transfer this like to here, like transfer this here, and I'll transfer this over here. So you can add a thumbnail if you want to, but that's not important. What's important is let's add the chapters here. um as you can see, it looks at the course thing here, so we need to add a couple of content there. So let's go ahead and add the course, which is you want to add, maybe chapters need to have chapter names, so let's go ahead and add chapter names maybe, or a number or whatever, so that way it would be easy to identify what it is. So I'll call this chapter 1 and this is chapter 2, and I'm going to create a basic lesson here. So this is going to be introduction. Hello world. So we'll be using a free tool. Again, Stonely is completely free, so you can go ahead and like create an account there for free, and then just register and start with a new lesson here. Yeah, but up to 20 lessons, I guess, is free. Okay. So we'll be using a free tool called bubble.is to build our applications. Um, so probably I may need to add another step here. So what you need, maybe what you need to know. So maybe I'm gonna add like content like you don't what's that? You don't need to code or but some basic logic, design and understanding can be helpful. Um, okay, and maybe some other so when I click on introduction, I'm probably going to add a next step. So the button is going to be next, so the next step is just going to be next step. Okay, so the title of that, maybe I'm going to be like, you can also have a button that links to um, another website. So I'm going to type in this step title, which is, I guess, is what you need to know. So I'm gonna click on the new step. Oh, so it actually links there. So I should have done it like this. So let's go ahead and copy this. And you can add your own pictures if you want to. But I'm going to delete this step because this is unlinked. So you can add links like that and add more buttons like check out bubble. So you can probably add an external link, which is going to redirect to bubble. So let's go ahead and check this lesson out. It's very simple. So let's go ahead and save and preview. So um, there we go. Next button is going to be going here. So this is pretty very simple, but so that's exactly what I want to do. Is like I just want to like build a fairly simple a lesson here that I can just either link to. Like this one is just a preview, but I can publish this. And I want to like publish this, and it will immediately go live. Like it's okay. Um, so if I want to share this, I can either get a URL that I can just put it over here, like a link. But I think an ideal way to do it is by embedding it. So that will actually pretty much embed the whole content inside my application. Let's see which one works. So I'm just going to like copy and paste it over here. Um, we're pretty much going to have a screen where we're going to have lessons. So for temporarily, you're going to open up the chapters screen here, and we probably have like a few screens here. So let's go ahead and add our content. So the rich content will display the content here, and then the title, which is summary. We don't have any image here for this. So detail is a course, maybe. So title is a chapter name. Okay. So let's go ahead and rename this from chapter names to name, and let's go ahead and save this. Okay, a course, by the way. To which course does this belong to? It belongs to. Uh, okay, so well, we need to define like this. Uh, okay, so I'm gonna add like this. All right. I'm gonna copy that value. All right, and I'm gonna paste it over here. So let's go ahead and do something like reload this sheet. Now let's go to chapter, and we have a lesson there, as you can see there. So it just displays the lesson. Um, One problem is that I am not viewing the content here. I'm not able to list and view the content here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to display an inline list, but this lists chapter from everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, well, the title is a detail is chapter name maybe. Uh, and if I want, I can display like a title, or I can display like a title like this. Whatever works best for me. So I'm going to just say a compact list. Okay. So instead of like this, I'll probably call this chapter name, chapter 1, 2. So if I go to 1, it will display this. Chapter 2, it will go here. I don't know if I'm missing anything here. I feel like I'm missing uh, the. If I go to Bubble IS, I go to the inline list. Um, I think if I go to chapter name, if I go to chapters, lessons, if I go to the chapters, I guess that's where it's supposed to come from. Uh, so so yeah, that's working out well actually, pretty much. Um, so let's go ahead and add another chapter here, like another lesson here, and see if it's working perfectly well. So let's go ahead and add some other lesson. If I open this up, okay, so now this doesn't work. Okay, so perfect. So well, I guess it's working well. If I open up using bubble.is, oh, I removed the list itself. Okay, well, let's go ahead and add the list again. Um, I don't know how it's actually fetching the list. Like, I think it should be compact list. So let's go ahead and change the title to like chapter name. Let's go back to this one. Okay, now it doesn't work. Okay, perfectly well. Alright, so we have a lesson here. Now it displays it here. It doesn't display here because, well, the lessons are mapped to this. So now if I open this up, this will display the lesson 1 and lesson 2. So again, let me show you guys how it's done. But what I do is this is used as the reference, okay? So course is basically the thing that is used to link the lessons, this thing with that. So for example, if I add this chapter over here, what will happen is these chapters here will start listing out over here. So that's not what I want to do. So the course for this will probably be maybe the title itself. So sometimes you may want to like just copy this and paste it over here. So that way it's a lot easier. So for example, if somebody's going to create a lesson there, one of the things you can do, I don't know if I make this like clear last time, is that you can actually if somebody wants to create maybe add a chapter here, which I think you can. By the way, you can add chapters here. So if you want to add a button, let's add a button. Like let's call this add a chapter. Okay, and I'm going to call this as action as a form. Okay, and it's going to add a chapter, and well, it's going to pretty much add a chapter here, and then that's going to pretty much going to sheets as chapter. Okay, so the person is going to add a chapter, but one thing I want to do is I don't want to ask the user to type in the name of the course, because the user is going to be confused, like, what do you mean by course? So the course value is basically, uh, this course title here that you see over here is coming from the lessons thing, and I want to save that value onto the course. Now what this will do is, for example, if I am in the using bubble.is thing, if I want to add a chapter, I can just add the chapter here, like for example, whatever I want to, and call this 3. If I submit this, the third chapter gets added over here, and as you can see, the content here. So if I want to add this over here, I can add whatever content I want to, and call this 1, and submit, and that should pretty much actually show up there. Um, but what's happening is, I guess we did a mistake in the lessons. Let's go here, lessons. Um, I guess the chapters, it's not really saving them, isn't it? So over here, course, it's getting added over there perfectly well. Okay, and oh well, we actually need to copy this over here somehow. So we probably need to figure out how we can copy this value to over this side. But technically, what happens is that almost every single like lesson needs to be added from the Excel. That would be a lot better. But from now on, if you add any chapter, it will work out. Okay. So if like if I add 2, if I submit this, it would come up here. So it can embed any kind of content. It can even be a YouTube video, or it can be anything from any site you want. Okay, so if it's better you add some thumbnails. You can hide this chapter screen. It's just because you want to edit it, so it's better you just show it there. So now we have lessons done. Now we have events done. One thing is that I don't remember why is this actually not working perfectly well. Okay, and now it's showing well. So if you add a calendar here, it has a dedicated view where you can see where are the events that are happening in this kind of view. So I can see, okay, this is the time, and this is the event, and this is the date. I can also add them to the events. This is an ideal view for an event. Now let's go on to the most important thing, which is the master classes. Okay, so every mentor needs to be either like so let's now this is the kind of the most complicated part. So let's go ahead and go to the add here. So we have the mentor's name, email, all that we add here. Let's go into this part and start modifying this, because now first thing I want to do is add an image, which is the thumbnail. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna remove the thumbnail image. I'm gonna add a button here that's going to email that person. So mentor's email, that would be a lot better than having the basic text. So that's a lot better here. And then feedback URL is showing this. Like instead of having the URL, let's show up a button that will take him to giving the feedback. So let's go ahead and add a link here. Or instead of a link, maybe we can just delete that and probably add a button, okay, and open as a link, and we're going to use the feedback URL. So probably give some feedback respond maybe. Okay, so if I click on the respond, it's going to open up the video ask thing. So I'll remove that. So now it looks a lot better. Like I guess now you can respond. But one big problem is I cannot really book for this session. So how can I do that? So let's go ahead and create a form button, or the button. You can change it. So when I click on, instead of open form, like so, I'm gonna say book a session. Okay, with this guy, I'm gonna book a session, and I'm going to have a booking. So first thing I want to do is like think about this. Now this is from a student's point of view. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take the student's email. Student is the person who's logged in. So I'm going to say the current user, like the user's email address is the person who's logged in. So that will be stored onto the student's email. So I don't really need to have the student's email field. Where's the student's email? I don't really need to save that. The other thing is the mentor's email. The mentor's email is actually created when the lesson was created. Okay, so I don't really need to ask the user for who is the mentor. Now that email is also created, like saved automatically, so it is now visible. So the user now only has to define, okay, well, what is the number of hours, and also he has to define, well, what do you want to learn, right? So that's the most important thing. So let's go ahead and add a demand. So instead of asking demand, let's call this as um, so what would you like to like to learn from this class? So this is the field. Now the number of hours is like, no, it's a text field, but ideally it should be a number field. So the number of hours is like this. Um, I'll put this probably up there. Remove the unnecessary fields. Status is something I don't want him to edit, of course, as that's awkward. Date and time again. Choose date and time here. You want to choose which slot, and the user will be able, the mentor will be able to choose it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and book a session for this guy who's Brian. I'm going to go into I'm going to book a session here. What would you like to learn? I would like to learn how to play um, film, like how to become a film scorer. I don't know if that's a realistic demand, but okay, I'm gonna hire him for like 2 hours, and probably I'm gonna start the session on 23rd of this thing, and I'm probably gonna say I'm gonna hire you at like 10 a.m. And yeah, pretty much submit. So I submitted the session, but I'm not going to view all the bookings on the screen because that will be a little awkward. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to add a booking here. So there's going to be two kinds of bookings, right? So my bookings. This is going to be all the bookings that this person has done. So this will be the bookings. So this is the booking. Let's go to screens here. And you want to say filter data by users, and this is going to be by students email. Now if you're going to say students email, now this refers to all the bookings that you have made. So let's say in the title, let's call this the number of class, I guess, mentor's email. I guess this is the mentor that you have signed up with. So the number of hours is 2. So this is my booking. um, and Yeah, so I can pretty much book a session, and this is my email. So my email is the email address that I signed up in. I mean, I signed up with by default, because I'm testing it. I'm testing it with my Google account login, so it just takes in here. But typically, when you share this application with somebody, they need to sign up with the thing, so they'll see it. So if you want to preview this, you can enter it now. For example, if I'm Brian at email.com, okay, and if I want to preview this, what will happen is, I think I have to reload the sheet. I'm not sure. Uh, um, Actually, let's go check out the booking session here. The student's email was not really saved. Not really sure why. So, oh, it got deleted. It got deleted again. Okay, so I want to say the current email address, the student's email. So let's go ahead and create one more session. Like the number of hours is 1 and 13/03 2000 and 2020. That's a long time from now. It's 10:0 a.m. I'm gonna submit it. Let's go to my bookings here. Now I'm reviewing bookings from Brian at email.com. Let's go ahead and check out if the student's email is now okay. Perfect. Now it's saved. Okay. Now I'm only gonna view if for example if the mentor's email is there. So I'm gonna filter data by user. Um, actually, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and remove the previous booking. So I'm gonna copy this here and paste it over here. Remove the old booking here, and I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it over here. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna refresh. Okay, so I have one booking, and I would like to, this is from the student's point of view. So if I want to like contact that person instead of like showing this email, I can like contact my mentor, and this is gonna be like a lot better. So title again, demand and the number of hours you have booked. You can probably remove this. It looks really bad, so I would like to say this is your demand, this is what you want to do. So you can probably have the basic text here that says um, the number of hours, so that is that. um, so I'm going to put this right up there. So this is now going to show the amount of bookings I have, and this is student's email basically refers to as if I'm the student email in this case is, oh, it's all it's also Brian at email.com. That's the problem. So if I, for example, if I change this to something like creatorschool at gmail.com, and I test this out, and it should pretty much not allow me to do anything. Actually, you can see that now that, because now I am logged inside as Brian at email.com, it doesn't show up. But if you want to change this to mentor, now this becomes the list of bookings that I can see as a mentor. So so this one is all the bookings that I have made. Now, how do I allow my mentors to like see? Okay, so let's go back to this old email. Okay, which is creatorschool@gmail.com. Now this is my student email. Now I want to see what's the status of this. So I want to see, okay, well, status. Has this been accepted or rejected? Um, so this is nothing. So status is going to be upgraded by my mentor. So how do I get the mentor to accept or reject my booking? So what I need to do is I can, of course, sandwich this inside this application itself, which is a lot better, like easier for me. But I would highly not recommend doing that. Instead, what I would do is I recommend creating another application for it using the same sheet, except you would need to like delete all the unnecessary crap. Like you can delete the masterclasses, you can delete all the events, the lessons as well. Even hide the chapters. You may only want to show bookings. Hide this. Only when I say bookings, and then you may want to change this to like my rest, like meant my bookings maybe. Okay, now we want to like go to screens here, and because this is the detailed style, let's go to list here. Now this is all the bookings. Now this is for the mentor, so let's me change this theme to like black because that was a lot better. Um, so pure black. This looks a lot better. Now this is all the bookings that I received, but I want to go back here. I want to say go to navigation, and first, oh no, settings down here. Made it sign in with public with email. That's much better. And then say filter data by user and say mentor's email. Now what it does is pretty much if I go to Brian at email.com, that's the mentor's email. So now I'm logged inside as a Brian email. Now let's say, for example, the number of hours is this. I want to change the status here. If I want to accept or reject his thing. So let's go ahead and say switch. So this is going to be the status. So if I say, for example, this, let's go and check out from his thing here, my bookings. So let's go ahead and log in as creatorschool@gmail.com, and you can see my status should be viewed here, but it's not. Okay, let's go ahead and check out what's the problem. Let's not add a switch. Let's add a probably a drop down. well, that would be much better, I guess. Choice, yeah. So the demand, no, status. So for the status, you need to have probably another sheet for defining all the values, like miscellaneous values. So this one is, I just have an extra sheet here just to store some other things like the drop down values and all that. Accepted, rejected, and probably something like checking. Probably want to have three statuses. Okay, I want to change this to options sheet as, let's reload this sheet here. Okay, so we want to go here and then probably go to um, creator school, Ryan at email.com. Okay, let's go here, and the status is, well, it's going to come from sheet 7 values. So if I say accepted, and if I now go back into HackSchool here, I'll probably reload this sheet here. Oh, okay. Go to my bookings. I'm gonna change this to this. There you can see here the status is now accepted. So ideally now you can book for masterclasses, okay? And then the mentors will be able to view all of their classes. This should be probably be called as HackSchool Mentors. So this will be a different application, but it's using the same database, connected to the same database here as the HackSchool application. So now if you want to respond, you can probably use video ask too, which is much better. So you can probably just share the URL to this, the respond button, and that would be ideally like, yeah. So, for the feedback URL, you want to share, you want to give some hints here, which is like not the best, like, which is much better. So I'm gonna say video ask .it URL, or say link. For the mentor's name, yeah. So basically, don't try to like take in. Okay, mentor's email, by the way, is, in this case, the mentor's email is if somebody's becoming a mentor, then probably he's re-entering his email. So I don't want to like get his email like here. So I want to say I want to get this current user email address, and I'm going to save that under the mentor's email column. So try to reduce the number of the form fields as much as you can, so that it becomes like so it's a minimum friction for the user. So yeah, pretty much we have events, we have master classes, we have lessons, we have bookings. So we also have interactive classes, as you can see here. I can pretty much do the next. I can just check out all these lessons here. Cool stuff. I can also add a chapter if I want to. I don't know if I can pretty much change the title of this form. I mean, it's okay, but for now it's okay. It works. I guess this is what Hack School is, in my opinion. You can definitely add a lot of great things to your application. Now, this is what I believe or what I envision as a Hack School for my project. But, however, uh, what you can do with this project is almost limitless. So I highly recommend you guys to go check out Glide Apps, and then there is a project link in the description of this video where you can go in and discuss and probably share your hack school solution with me, and probably I can critique on your solution, or we can probably build one together. And yeah, and probably like let's discuss and see what we can build. So there's a link in the description. Go to creatorschool.com, and then we can discuss about what is a best solution to this problem. So check out careerschool.com, and I shall see you guys in another video very soon.